So after UFC 305 comes down to and still and some beautiful performances. So you already know what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Combat and Kick It, where I am doing a full recap of UFC 305. So let's get right into it. Let's go. Joints in the air. Great night of fights yesterday. I have to come through and talk about it. You know how I get down. Alright, so first thing I'm going to say, and I pretty much start every recap off like this, but my parlays missed. To no surprise. I know you're not surprised, but they missed. The main one that I gave everybody on the breakdown was 5-legger, going with Carlos Prates, going with Tai Tuivasa, Mateusz Gamrot, Steve Erceg, and Israel Adesanya. I went 1 for 5. So if you took my bets, you went 1 for 5 as well. Now, it was one of those nights where you couldn't expect for it to really go the way that it went. You know what I mean? Like, I knew that Tai Tuivasa bet could have been 50-50. I totally thought Steve Erceg was going to completely outstrike Kai Kara-France to either a decision or a knockout KO within 2. And then Mateusz, I didn't think in any way that Dan was going to come in and really keep this fight in his favor of the way he wins fights. Dan is a savage, and Dan will make you get real gritty when it comes to the fight game, right? He will make you have to fight, like legitimately get in a street fight and brawl. So a lot of things that I didn't really expect to happen happened, and I think that's why my bets went south, right? I had one bet that missed by 1 because I had Luana Santos instead of having Casey O'Neill. Casey O'Neill fought a fantastic fight, can't take nothing away from her. So on the prelims, she did very good. Let's see what else was on the prelims that I paid attention to, because you know I don't always catch every prelim. I try to catch every single prelim and everything like that, but you know you end up missing a couple here and there without a doubt, especially when you work. But yeah, so I think what is safe to say is Jack Jenkins is the truth, living up to the hype. Duke can strike his ass off, man. He has fantastic hands. He's very patient. There was a lot of times where he rocked Herbert Burns and just stayed patient, ended up getting the finish in the 3rd round. So good win by Jack Jenkins to keep his stuff rolling. There was also a fantastic win by the guy who beat Junior Tafa. I don't know why it won't load now. It was literally right here in front of my face. Now it won't load. Gotta love Google. Walter Walker with a fantastic submission on Junior Tafa. And here's the thing about that submission, right? People are like, oh, he didn't tap. There is such thing as a verbal submission. So if you're not hip to a verbal submission, then get hip. Because if a ref hears you scream like that, make any type of noise like that, and he was loud enough for us to hear it on the screen, on the TV. He was loud enough for us to hear it. So it's pretty much a verbal submission. It was a rough position he was in. He wasn't getting out of it, and the fight proceeded to end and restart again when Junior Tafa went over there and smacked him. So interesting, very interesting ending to that fight, but overall good win from Valor Walker. All right, so for the main card recap, I'm gonna start it off like this. You know how I do. I give you a little something from each fight. All right, Carlos Prates is the truth. Tai Tuivasa is done. Dan Hooker is still a dog. Steve Erceg, you really let me down. And what's next for Israel Adesanya? That is basically the summary of UFC 305 for me. Now, Carlos Prates, fantastic performance. If you watched my breakdown, I mentioned that this was a very tough fight for Li Jingliang to come back to, right? He's coming back to a long, lanky striker who's extremely patient and extremely accurate, landing 75% accurate shots. Now, I know a lot of people, 75%, I mean, that's good, but it's not. When you're talking about fighting, right? When you're talking about fighting, landing punches, 75% land, that's solid. It's damn solid. Dude's very accurate, very patient, has a phenomenal left hand, good hooks. Was in a couple positions where I felt like he could have been vulnerable depending on the opponent, but he's still early, you know, so just let him keep building. Getting a win against a guy like Li Jingliang really does elevate you, and being the first guy to KO and finish Li Jingliang like that is even more impressive. So fantastic win to Carlos Prates. He definitely deserved, I don't know if he did, but he definitely deserved a bonus if he didn't get one already. Definitely best performance in my opinion of the entire night. He just looked so clean, so crisp, and so on point, and that is what you need to do when you're on the come up and you're trying to make a statement. So great win for Carlos Prates. Like I said, my man Tai Tuivasa let me down. He let me down. He broke my heart last night. Broke my heart last night because I had a parlay going and things were flowing, and then boom, Tai Tuivasa. Tai Tuivasa fucked it all up. Look, I like Tai, but Tai Tuivasa has not been the same since the Cyril Gane fight. It's as simple as that. I was really backing him in this fight. I thought that this was the perfect fight for him to finally get back out there and throw the way he throws, with bad intention, a little bit of caution to the wind, and just, you know, go out there and do your thing. I thought this was the perfect fight for him, but he stayed patient against a striker who is extremely patient. I've mentioned Rozenstruik in a 3 to 5 round fight is boring as can be because he's very, very patient. He's a patient kickboxer, and if you're going to point fight with him, yeah, you're going to lose. You're going to lose if you're trying to stay at distance and you can't get inside. I thought that if Tai got to him early, bum rushed him in the first round, he definitely could have got the finish. The Tai Tuivasa we saw Saturday night was not the Tai Tuivasa that I was expecting, not the Tai Tuivasa that people are used to seeing, and unfortunately, I think he's on his way out. I think he's fading. He needs a confidence boosting win, and this should have been it, right? Because you're still talking about a guy who's been in there with plenty of really, really good opponents. You know, Jairzinho Rozenstruik has been in there with some really good opponents, right? So, like, if Tai would have got that win, that's a big confidence booster right back, showing that you still got the power, you still got, you know, you can put fear into the rest of the heavyweight division. But when you're fighting like this, and to me it looks like you're just kind of gun shy, and not because you've gotten knocked out so much, gun shy because you feel like you're not confident in your hands. That's what it looks like to me with Tai Tuivasa, is he's not confident in his hands. And Rozenstruik did exactly what he needed to do. The biggest takeaway from that fight is that judge that went 30-27 in Tai Tuivasa. What were you seeing, dog? Where were you at? What fight were you watching where that was 30-27? There was a couple moments, literally moments in the 3 rounds that Tai had some success. But overall, Rozenstruik stayed his distance. Not like he pieced him up or anything like that, but he point fighted his way to a decision, a boring decision, right? It was a very lackluster performance on both ends. I thought we would have seen more, but I knew if you fight the fight that Rozenstruik wants you to fight, it's going to be a slow fight. It's going to be a three round fight. It's not going to be a bar burner, that's for sure. And I had that fight for being under 1.5 rounds. So, stupid me. So at this point, I fell asleep. Dan Hooker versus Mateusz Gamrot. This was the one fight that I thought was an absolute gimme. I thought this was a for sure. Gamrot's got this. He's going to have the game plan. He's going to figure it out. He's going to come in. He's going to take Dan Hooker down. Not necessarily get the finish, but he's going to control the aspect of the fight. And it did not go that way. I went back and looked at the highlights. That's all I could really watch. That's all I could really find was some highlights. So I went back and watched the highlights. And all I can say is Dan looked very sharp. His striking looked good. He had a beautiful jab. He was sticking him with the jab a lot, throwing some good hooks. working different combinations and stuff like that. Matus showed that he's got that dog in him and he's willing to scrap if he has to. He was trying to get the takedowns. He got some of them. Dan Hooker even knocked Matus down at one point. But I did say in the breakdown, if Dan could come in here and fight like Jalen Turner, but really force for the finish in this fight, he might have a better chance of winning. Because I thought Jalen Turner won that fight against Matus. You defend a couple takedowns, and you really show that he can't get, that his strong suit is not working, and you just keep piecing him up on the feet, then it's going to go in Dan Hooker's favor, and it did. So Dan Hooker got the decision win, and it's nice to see him back in the win column, because like seeing Dan Hooker lose again would have been an issue for his career. Now on the other hand, you see Matus lose, you already know Matus could bounce back. He's still up there with the top guys. He just needs one more fight to snap him right back to where he was. Who's that fight going to be? I don't know. Maybe I'll play matchmaker this week and make another video kind of matchmaking to see what happens. The last couple matchmaking videos really didn't get any views. It seems like the breakdowns and stuff and all that analyzations and stuff not getting too many views, but we're rocking with the reels now, some clips and stuff like that. So hopefully that picks it up a little bit. But yeah, back to the fights. Co-main event. Steve Erceg gets finished. What? Round 1 KO. I thought the only way we were going to see a round 1 KO was in the favor of Steve Erceg. Maybe I gave him a little too much hype. Maybe I took too much away from a Matt Schnell knockout and a beautiful performance against Pantoja. I think I may have took a little bit away from that and forgot, Kai Kara France has been in there with some top guys. Kai Kara France is skilled. I just look at him as kind of a one-dimensional striker, but if it works, it works. It doesn't really matter, and he got the finish last night, and it just sucks, man. I wanted to see Steve Erceg get that win out here looking like Steve Carell and shit, looking just like a normal human, just a normal guy, but damn, he couldn't get it done. It happens. Whenever it's just a one-round fight, you really can't take too much from the performance. I mean, somebody got finished, you know what I'm saying? So Kai did exactly what he needed to do. Kai looked good. Kai got the finish. So shout out to Kai Kara France. There's only one way to go from here, and that's to give him the Pantoja fight. There's no other fights unless you want to force the Manal Cape fight in there. You could do Manal Cape and him just because there's a little bit of history there, but at the same time, Manal Cape fumbled the bag and Kai Kara France picked it up. Straight up, I said this is a very big chance for the 125-pound division. You just had two guys that were talked about to be the next #1 contender, whoever would win between Makayev and Cape, and they put on an absolute bore fest after hyping it up like crazy. Meanwhile, you got these two guys who are cordial as hell in Australia going up against each other, and you get a first-round finish. It's all about making the statement when the statement needs to be made, and Kai Kara France did that. So, in my opinion, that's your #1 contender. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to talk about this main event. Hashtag and still. Alright, Dreykus got it done. Am I mad about it? No. You can't really do nothing about it. He did what he needed to do. It's one of those things where Izzy was winning the fight, was outstriking him, he was landing better, he was throwing the cleaner shots, he was doing exactly what he needed to do. I thought he could have been a little bit more aggressive from what I did see. But Dreykus took advantage of the moment. And that's exactly what he saw. When he tagged Izzy a couple times, landed a couple good shots in that fourth round, and Izzy started to retreat, Izzy started to also run, and he turned his back to him. And once he turned his back to him, Dreykus just said, fuck it, I'm going for it. Jumped right onto his back. And, when you let up your back and a guy sees it and he knows it's open and he can take it. Fourth round, you guys have been fighting for, 15 minutes already. Going on to your 20th minute. Not to say that you're actually tired, but you're getting worn down a little bit. So it was a good call at that moment for Dricus, because overall, in my opinion, his octagon IQ is not that impressive. Obviously, he does not look like he should be the guy that's champion, but somehow, some way, every single time Dricus du Plessis gets it done. And he gets it done against the guys that we 100% think are better than him. The only person that he didn't get it done against was Sean. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen in that rematch. That'll be interesting, a very interesting fight, very interesting matchup. And then we'll see what happens with other guys on the come up. You know, you got this weekend with Jared Cannoniers going up against Kyle Barallo. You know, that's Kyle Barallo's big chance to break into something, let people know, hey, I'm here. And this is Jared Cannonier having to hold the spot down after getting a bad loss to a bad call on the ref side, in my opinion, in this last fight. But Dricus, you know, it's weird because, like, stylistically, he doesn't impress me at all. Not even in the slightest bit. What impresses me is the fact that he's able to get it done. I mean, he just gets it done. He'll be losing a fight and he gets it done. Darren Till, Derek Brunson, Rob Whitaker, now Izzy. I can't say nothing to him. I can just say, hats off, Dricus. Good work. Can't say nothing bad about it. Can't dog him. Can't say nothing. Hats off. Yes, I took my hat off. LaMarcus hat, by the way. LaMarcus Barbershop. Goated Barbershop. But he did what he had to do. Shout out to Dricus. Great win. What's next for Israel Adesanya? That's a big question. Last time Izzy lost, I made a whole episode and it had a lot of views too. Seemed like people were really interested. What is next for Israel Adesanya? And now the question is even bigger, because you put him as a main event, it has to be a main event of a fight night. And that's tough to do with a guy of his magnitude. Do you put him as a co-main event on a pay-per-view card? And who do you do it against to get him back into the win column? Or do you just try to jump to a rematch with Dricus because he was winning the fight? It's tough to say. It's tough to say. I'm not to say that Israel Adesanya is finished or anything like that. I know a lot of people are going to be saying he's washed, he's done, this and that. He's on 2-fight losing streak. Look, Tony Ferguson's on an 8-fight losing streak. You guys are sitting back hoping that he's going to get another shot and he's going to do it. Like, stop it. Stop it. You know what I'm saying? This man's on a 2-fight losing streak, right? And this one, he was winning the fight. So it's, you know, Sean, he got worked. He lost to Sean Strickland every which way in that fight, all 5 rounds. But with Dricus, he was winning the fight. He was doing everything that he can do to basically, I mean, he wasn't doing everything he could do to get a finish. He was doing everything he could do, again, to lead himself to a championship, to get the win. And what I said it in the breakdown, he has to be more aggressive. He cannot try to fight like he's defending a belt. And that's how he fought. And I think he just has to break out of that mentality if he wants to get a big win back. I just don't know who it's going to be against. I really don't. We'll see what happens with Dricus. We'll see what happens with Dricus and Sean. It's never an official fight until the fight is on. You know how the MMA game goes. One day you're talking about a fight. The next day you're making the announcement that so-and-so got injured and that fight's not going to happen, and so-and-so is getting replaced by another so-and-so. That's just how it happens. That's the MMA game. But either way, UFC 305 was a pretty good card. I fell asleep because I was tired, okay? I was tired and I was sad. I was heartbroken that the parlay missed, okay? I woke up hearing John Anik say, and there's the tap, and that's the end of the fight. I'm looking, and Dricus du Plessis just finished Israel Adesanya, and then I had to go back and watch that and see what happened, and I saw that Izzy was beating him. The striking was there. He was winning. So maybe run that back, but now Sean's ready. Sean's ready, so give it to Sean. And if those fights sit and wait, you know what I'm saying, and Rob and Hamzat put on a great performance, you got a #1 contender possibility there. So anything can happen with those 5 guys there. So we'll see what happens in the middleweight division. Always an interesting division. Always one that it continues to be shaken up. So we got Brendan Allen and Marvin Vettori out here scrapping at PFL events. Middleweight division is pretty dope right now. It's a pretty dope division right now. You gotta admit it's a dope division. But either way, you know what it is. I appreciate you guys for listening, watching these episodes. You know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, share this with a friend, with a family member, with whatever, co-worker, whoever. Just share it if you want to talk more about fights, learn more about fights, anything in the fight game. Share this with some people. And other than that, hit that bell notification button so you know when the next episode is out, you fool. I'll catch you on the next episode.